Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of the day it is for you. Welcome to the Humble Word Program. My name is Anthony, and I want to welcome you to this episode specifically because it is going to be a long one, and I hope that you can stick with it. And I hope that also you will share it with other people because the subject matter of this video is very serious, and it is very applicable to many of the conversations that are going on today. So please watch, please comment. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, it would be so much appreciated because it does help the channel to grow. And if you like this video, please click the like button. It tells YouTube that this is a video worth sharing to even more people. I would appreciate it so much. God bless. Now let's get right into it. One of the most common reasons for denying the existence of God is the problem of evil in the world. Just ask any group of atheists to give their top 10 reasons for unbelief, and surely one will claim as number one, if there is a God, then why is there so much evil in the world? For many, this is the pièce de résistance of rebuttals.
What happened? He spoke French, he's dead!
How could a good God be real and allow all the suffering in the world to continue unabated, assuming he is even good? The 18th century philosopher David Hume described the problem this way in Dialogues Concerning Natural Religion, 1779. Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is impotent. Is he able but not willing? Then he's malevolent. Is he both able and willing? Whence then is evil? So the problem of evil and its source has been an issue of philosophical debate for centuries. The existence of evil in the world, along with all the unanswered questions, has even become evidence enough for some to embrace atheism. Therefore, because so many philosophers and theologians have tried for ages to reconcile the existence of God with the existence of evil, nothing I say today will be anything new, but maybe you've never heard it before. But if anyone were to challenge my belief in God along with my faith in Jesus Christ with the argument that the problem of evil constitutes proof God does not exist, then I would possibly respond with the argument based on the following thought. Without the existence of God, there should be no evil to be a problem. And that's a problem for the problem of evil. So evil, what is it? What exactly is evil? Now, that may sound like an absurd kind of question to ask, but if the existence of evil is the evidence that is supposed to expose my faith as a fraud at least, or even a lie, then what is it? Is it something tangible? Is it metaphysical? Is it theoretical? What is it exactly? Does it have any particular form, weight? How can it be distinguished from what is called good? On what do the atheists and agnostics base their definition of this thing called evil? Amazingly, the answers are not all the same, nor in some cases even grounded in reality. However, it is imperative to understand that we must define this God killer because its definition will determine our conclusions and help to clarify our assumptions. When C.S. Lewis was an atheist, for example, his argument against God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. He thought, that's it. That's my defense. Or so he thought. God could not exist because so much evil exists. But how did he arrive at this idea of just and unjust? Lewis said a man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. He would say, what is evil? And how do you recognize it when you see it? Well, to start, evil must be understood to be an adjective. Evil is a description of something that is not good. Evil is not a thing. The word evil only describes the thing, or the thought, or the action. Technically, evil does not even exist, only what it describes. Some people say that they cannot believe in God because why or how could a good God, if he was perfect, create evil? They think of evil as something that must have not existed until God made it. But evil isn't a kind of molecule or virus infecting everything. No, there was no time when God said, let there be evil. Let there be evil, and it was evil. Or was it good? I don't know. As John Stackhouse put it, evil becomes a noun only in the abstract. Additionally, his book, Can God Be Trusted? Stackhouse says of evil, an action can be evil, or an event can be evil, or a quality can be evil, or a being can be evil. And we can lump all of these things, these particular evils together in our minds and come up with a category, evil. We can even go on to discuss it as if it were a particular thing, so long as we do not forget that we are always dealing with a category or group of particular evil things, not a thing itself. So then, if evil is a description, how is it that we come to use the adjective, or as Lewis put it, the crooked line, without first having some idea of what is a straight line? Defining what is good is as important as defining evil. To know what is evil, we must first have some assumption as to what is not evil. The crazy thing is that if God does not exist and man is nothing more than a collection of random matter, both good and evil are purely relative. Their existence is based purely on one's perspective. So in other words, the one who says that there is no God based on the existence of evil is literally basing his belief on pure opinion, nothing objective. Therefore, in order to bring an accusation against the goodness of God, one must have a baseline. So what is the standard by which we determine what is good and what is evil? Some use man as the baseline. They compare God to the standard set by what is thought to be good behavior in this world. They rationalize that if God is real, well, at least according to the monotheistic dogma, he must be all-powerful, perfectly good, and the supreme example of love, kindness, and providential care. Because it is preached that God is better at being a father than earthly fathers, Mark Twain took it upon himself to write, "The best minds will tell you that when a man has begotten a child, he is morally bound to tenderly care for it. Yet, God's treatment of his earthly children every day and every night is the exact opposite of that. Yet those minds warmly justify those crimes when he commits them." So then, according to Mark Twain, God could not exist because if he did, he would act consistent with what our understanding of what a good and loving earthly father would do. In other words, if God cannot in all his perfection behave better towards his children than most common man, his credentials are therefore revoked, and he must cease to exist. However, this is so illogical. Who are we to say that God, if he is perfect and we are imperfect, ever treats his children poorly? Do the protesting cries of a toddler who has had poison taken away from his grasp carry more weight than the decision of the earthly father to take it away? How then are we to automatically assume that the infantile tendencies of finite man are wiser than the infinitely mature? Using man as a baseline for what is good and evil, that's just pure arrogance. In reality, the problem of evil is really a problem for the atheist. He who denies the existence of a creator and accepts only the realities of evil in the world essentially has nothing about which to complain. Everything should be just fine and dandy, but it's not. The atheist knows that evil things happen to both good and bad people. He sees the hurt. He feels the pain. He begs for justice. The reality of evil in the world causes men to cry out for justice, for things to be made right. This is a problem, though, because knowing that a crooked line is not straight hints at the fact that there is a line drawer. Others take a different approach. They claim that God does not exist except in the evil intentions of his followers to control others through guilt. They claim that God is just a fabrication of priests and preachers and pastors to keep mankind from behaving naturally. They say that nature is good. If anything, God is evil for trying to get man to behave contrary to the very way he was created to behave. One guru said, "It seems that for those who worship God, the opposite of to God is not that which is evil, but that which is natural." He said of animals, comparing them to men, they don't worship God, they don't go to church, they don't have any theology, they don't have any feeling of guilt. They are simply natural. In other words, if there's evil in the world, it is because our belief in God has inflicted it upon us. But for the majority of the hurting world, pain is real, loss is real, and evil is manifested daily. Many see the things that happen to innocent people, especially children, and wonder, if there is a loving God, why doesn't he do anything about this? These people, many of which hold on to hope as long as they can, finally succumb to their doubts and conclude that the only way to explain away the pain is to admit that it's just part of life, part of the natural world, part of what makes us human, alone in our quest to make life easier, free of pain, free from evil, alone, without God. These are the ones, I believe, that lure more people away from the faith than any Darwinist. They are the ones who have seen evil face to face and cannot fathom a God who would allow it to continue. And because their experiences are so painful, so tragic, the devout are left speechless without explanation. Elie Wiesel is a good example. Elie Wiesel was a teenager when he saw his family murdered in the Nazi death camps. But it was only after witnessing one particular act of horror, the slow, hanging death of a young boy, that he turned away from his faith in God. In the book Night, his Nobel Prize-winning autobiography, Wiesel said he heard a man behind him ask, "Where is God now?" as he stood there being forced to stare into a pitiful, wide-eyed, swollen face of a dying child, a voice within him replied, "Where is he? Here he is. He's hanging on the gallows." Because there was no justification, even in the big scheme of things, Elie Wiesel's God died with that executed boy. But as sad as it is, without God, who can say what happened to that boy was any worse than the slaughter of an animal? Are we all not just animals? Some more evolved than others? To me, the problem of evil is not a problem for the believer to explain, but one for the non-believer. Aside from the theological arguments about the character of God, without God, to turn Hume's question around, whence then is evil? Without God, evil is relative to one's desires and personal pleasure. Does it really even matter whether or not God could do anything about evil in the world when the whole question is moot if he didn't exist? With God, evil is defined as that which is against his law and that which stands opposed to his character, standards, and that which describes all who take pleasure in such rebellion. Without God, evil is just a matter of opinion. That is the real problem of evil. There you have it. Based on some of the comments that I've already received on previous videos, I know that some of you will absolutely laugh, mock, disagree, maybe even angrily type on your keyboard your rebuttals to this presentation. However, the question still remains: how can there be evil in the world when there is no definition outside of our own personal preferences? Unless there is no objective standard that is above and beyond all of our own opinions, then how can one person call something evil and blame another person for doing that evil when that person has the same rights as the one doing the accusations? If you have a comment, I do encourage you to leave it in the comment section. Please, please be reasonable, be nice, be respectful, and that way we can have dialogue. If you do get a little bit out of hand, I do reserve the right to not publish your comment, but I will try to publish all I can. And again, if you have not subscribed to this channel, I would appreciate it if you would, and especially if you agree with the content. Pray for me, pray for this ministry, that God will use it, that it will grow, and one day we can stand before God and hear Him say, "Well done." Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon in the next episode of, the train's on the way, of The Humble Word. God bless.